I'd like to start today with a question for all of you, and that question is, how would you like to make a difference in the world? And then I'm going to talk to you about something that I like to call the Loukoumi effect, and how you can find what you love to do, what you're passionate about, and use that to discover your purpose. And then when you find out what your purpose is, use that to make a difference in the world, in the lives of others, and then what happens is you make a difference in your own life as well. So let's talk about purpose for a moment. Purpose is something that gets you up in the morning. Purpose is something that excites you, that prompts you, that makes you do amazing things in your life. And we all have it in us. And what I'd like you to do is indulge me in an exercise for a moment. I'd like you all to close your eyes, and I'd like you to think about what your purpose is. What do you love to do? What are you passionate about? Is it sports? Is it the arts? Do you like to help people? And then I want you to think about how you can use what you love to do and do it. You may already be doing it, but do more. How can you do more to discover your purpose in life? So then, with the Loukoumi effect, you can go out and help others and then make a difference in your life as well. So you can open your eyes now, and I want you to continue to think about this, not only today, but in the days, weeks, months, and years ahead, because your purpose is always going to change. And I want to tell you a little bit about my purpose in life. So I discovered my purpose when I was very young. I found it again when I was older. Somewhere in between, it got kind of jumbled, though. So when I was younger, I loved to write. I would write every chance I get, and that's the first lesson I want to let you know about. If there's something you like to do it. Find a way to do it any way you can and as many ways as you can. So I wrote for my school newspaper, I wrote for my church newsletter, I entered poetry and writing competitions. And then when I was ready to graduate college, I had to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And I applied to Columbia Journalism School. I thought maybe I'd be a reporter, but I went to law school. I was given this great opportunity. My father was a professor at Fordham Law School for 60 years, and we got to go to law school tuition-free. So I went, took the opportunity, and when I was in law school, I became intrigued by the judicial system. And when I got out of law school, I worked as a federal law clerk in the courthouse. And I was there on a daily basis watching murder trials, arson trials, organized crime trials, things you think only happen on television, but they happen every day in the courthouse. So I was inspired. And when I got out of that job, I bought a laptop computer. I rented an apartment in Key Largo, Florida, and I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. I kept all the energy in. People thought I was a beach bum for 6 weeks, but no, I wrote for 10, 12, 14 hours a day. And I came home to New York with a 400-page first draft, thinking I was going to be the next John Grisham overnight. That never happened, but I had some fun doing some book signings, but then the road ended. So what did I do? I went back to what I knew. I went back to the law. I became general counsel of a company in New York City for 28 years. But somewhere along that path, my life changed by a box of candy. I was in the kitchen with my wife 22 years ago. Someone brought us back a box of Loukoumi candy from Greece. It's a jelly candy with powdered sugar on top. Truth be told, never cared for it. I tried it again that day. I still didn't care for it. But what I did notice that day, and I said to my wife, we joked around, I said, Loukoumi would make a cute name for a children's book character. And we joked some more with the powdered sugar, maybe a fluffy white lamb we came up with that goes around the world and does good deeds. It seemed like a great idea at the time. A year later, our son was born. He's now 21. He goes to Tufts University in Boston. And when he was born, I wanted to write a children's book just for him and just for me. Tried to find a publisher. There wasn't a publisher in sight that would publish a book about a fluffy lamb named Loukoumi. I tried to get a literary agent. More doors closed in my face. And here's the next lesson. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do something. Try to do it any way you can, and that's what I did. I self-published the book. I printed 1,000 copies. I sold them out of my garage. I sent one copy to the New York Times newspaper. The New York Times wrote an article about this little self-published book. The book hit number 4 on the Barnes & Noble children's book bestseller list. My dream of becoming an author came true. And like the Loukoumi effect, I found my purpose. But then I wanted to share it with others. I wanted to use it to help others and make a difference in their lives. So I released the second book, teaching kids to believe in themselves and follow their career dreams. So when that book came out, I started a contest called Loukoumi Dream Day, where we would make kids' career dreams come true for it. So our first winner, back in 2008, wanted to be a Mars rover engineer. I didn't even know what that was, and I was hoping she wasn't going to win the contest, but everybody fell in love with 9-year-old Sophie from Great Neck, Long Island. And I started to panic. I'm like, how am I going to make this dream day come true? So I called NASA blindly, and I got someone on the phone, and they said, we love this. We are landing the Phoenix spaceship on the planet Mars Memorial Day weekend of 2008. Bring her out to our Jet Propulsion Lab in Pasadena, California, and she can sit inside Mission Control and watch the Phoenix land on the planet Mars. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I couldn't believe what I saw when I was there. But the best part was seeing Sophie with this huge smile on her face and brightness in her eyes, realizing that she could do something that other people told her was not possible. And a lot of kids come to me these days, and they talk to me about things that are out of the box, things like that are difficult, things like being an actor, okay? And what I tell them, you need to follow that path. You need to go after it with all your might, jump in 100%, because you never know where that road is going to take you. If you want to be an actor, on that road, you could decide that you want to be a screenwriter or a makeup artist or a movie producer. But if you don't take the road and don't take the path and follow it, you'll never know. So there I was in California. I was out there for 2 days. I had a lot of time on my hands, and I reached out to a friend of mine who I'd worked with on another charity. His name was John Aniston. John Aniston was an actor on The Days of Our Lives for many years, and he was also the father of Jennifer Aniston. So he was hearing what we're doing about the Mars landing, and he said, this is really cool. He goes, I would love to be part of this in some way. So, next lesson, don't be afraid to ask people. People will want to help you. That was my opportunity, and I said, John, how about you and Jennifer narrate the next Loukoumi book on CD? This was back in 2008 when CDs were a thing. I show kids CDs today, they don't know what I'm talking about. So sure enough, he said, I'll ask. If I went to her publicist or her agent, this never would have happened. But this was her dad, and I'm driving home from my legal job in Manhattan 3 weeks later. The cell phone rings in the car. I pick it up. It's John Aniston. He said, Jen will do it. I almost drove off the road. I couldn't believe Jennifer Aniston was narrating my book. So this book was called Loukoumi's Good Deeds, teaching kids the Loukoumi effect, to go out and to make a difference in the world for things that they were passionate about. And we started a program called Make a Difference with Loukoumi Day, an annual celebration where kids go out and do good in the world. And that first year, we had about 1,000 kids. So the path continued to follow. We released another book a couple of years later. It was Loukoumi's Celebrity Cookbook, featuring favorite childhood recipes by over 50 celebrities. We had Oprah Winfrey in there. We had Taylor Swift in there. And then I get a recipe from Morgan Freeman's office. I download the attachment. I open it up. Couldn't believe what I saw. It was a recipe for roast leg of lamb. Loukoumi's a lamb, yeah. So it took me 2 days to get the nerve to call up his office. I finally do. I speak to his assistant, and I said, thank you so much. I love this recipe. We're going to use it at home at Easter time, but I can't put it in the book. She got very defensive, and she goes, why not? And I said, you do realize Loukoumi's a lamb. She laughed so hard she dropped the phone. 2 months later, I was preparing the next book, Loukoumi and the Schoolyard Bully, and I needed a voice for the audiobook to play the bully. Morgan Freeman's got a great voice. So I asked, again, don't be afraid to ask. Because of that lighthearted moment with the recipe, not only did he recorded it within 2 days. So never be afraid to ask. So the Loukoumi movement continued to move on. And by 2014, we were working with 40,000 kids across the United States. I was given a Make a Difference award by the Points of Light organization. And it was down in Washington, D.C. And it was broadcast on the Today Show. Savannah Guthrie presented me with the award. That night, my head was exploding. I couldn't believe that this little box of candy had taken me to this place. And on the train ride home, I'm talking to my wife, and I said to her, this is more than a book series. This is a charitable foundation. We're already doing the charity work. So in 2014, the Loukoumi Make a Difference Foundation was born. And today, we're working with 150,000 children in 30 countries around the world. Things continued to happen, but I was leading this parallel life at this point, and I was kind of torn. I had this legal job, which was good, but I didn't love it. I liked it, but I didn't love it. This is what I love to do. Schools were calling me, asking me to start curriculums, good deed curriculums. I was asked to speak at the World Happiness Summit. You guys remember a couple of years ago, Miley Cyrus won her Grammy Award, and she said, while she was singing, she goes, "I won a Grammy Award. I'm giving a TED Talk. I can't believe where this place has taken me from a box of candy." And then the kicker came. I had a conversation with a friend of mine who was working at a huge hedge fund in New York City. And he comes to me and he says, "Nick," he goes, "I'm leaving my job." I said, "Why are you leaving? You were really successful, you made a lot of money, you had a lot of people working for him." And he says, "You know, Nick," he goes, "there comes a point in your life where if you're lucky, you have one good act left." And he wanted to do something else. Those words haunted me for about 3 months because I knew what I wanted to do, but I was apprehensive, I was scared. But then I thought, how can I teach children to follow their dreams and to follow their purpose if I'm not doing it 100% myself? So I left that legal job. I became executive director of the Loukoumi Foundation, and I've never been happier. And you can too, by finding your purpose. We released a research study earlier this year with the Loukoumi Foundation. We interviewed over 1,000 students in 20 countries. Over 90% said that when they do good through their purpose, through the Loukoumi effect, they're happier. Over 90% said they have increased self-esteem, improved mental health, they have purpose in life, and that purpose helps them become better leaders, more engaged learners, and better students. So the research is clear. If you follow the Loukoumi effect, if you follow what you love, what you're passionate about, and use it, not only to discover your purpose, but then to make a difference in the lives of others, you'll make a difference in your life as well. Thank you.